Most of you guys that are coming here to this channel, you probably came here one of a few things. You want to get laid with hot girls, you want to make money and be rich, and you want to have six-pack abs, or you want to have this pride or confidence, like you want to be an alpha strong man. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. Who doesn't want to get laid with hot girls? Maybe even lots of hot girls. Who doesn't want to make money? Who doesn't want to be wealthy? Who doesn't want to have the life that they dream of? Who doesn't want to be considered to be a strong man who's able to get what he wants? Who doesn't want to have that image? And here's the key thing that you guys have to understand. In order to get to what you need, sometimes you have to get what you want. If you're a guy who has no experience with women and has no success with women, there's not a lot I can teach you about spirituality, because how are you going to suppress that primal urge that you have within yourself, that feeling of inferiority, of not being accepted, of not getting what you want, that feeling that you are not good enough? How are you going to get past that until you go and have some success and then realize that you're bigger than that? And I've talked to plenty of guys. If you're a guy right now and you're like, let's say a 25-year-old virgin, and you've never really had any kind of success with women, and I tell you, you know what? That stuff doesn't matter that much. It doesn't matter that much. You need to focus on your spiritual wellness and growing as a man and being a man on your mission and growing yourself, and forget about women, and it doesn't matter. You're not going to believe it because you're missing that, because you never had that. Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's be honest with our carnal nature and our desires that we want. There's nothing wrong with wanting these things initially, but we have to grow beyond those things. The only way to grow beyond those things is to get some of those things. There's a lot of teachers out there that would try and teach you all of these higher motive spiritual things. Oh, forget about the money, forget about the girls. It doesn't matter. What matters is your spiritual development, my son. And what matters is what kind of person that you become and the challenges that you face and the character that you build. And I agree with all those things. That's essentially what I'm trying to do. But the problem is when they start there, you're not listening. You're like, like my problem right now is I am horny and I can't get laid. And there's all these hot girls on Instagram and on dating apps, and none of them are interested in me. And I'm living with my parents right now, and I'm broke, and I feel like a pig. I'm lazy. I'm overweight. Don't tell me that there is some spiritual significance, that I need to just suck it up, and that I just need to forget about those worldly, superficial things and just focus on being a man. No, that's not going to work. It's not going to happen. You're not going to go down that road. But you know what? If you start developing yourself, if you start to have some success with women, if you start to feel confident as a masculine man, as a dominant man, and women are attracted to you, then you have some sexual prowess, some skills in that area, and then you start making some money, you start building a business, and you start generating that passive income, and maybe you become financially independent, or you're on your path to it, and you start building that confidence. You start getting that swagger and carrying yourself and understanding some of the nature of women and the red pill type of truths of reality, and you start become more of that man that you're capable of becoming and start to accomplish all those things, then your mind is open. It's ready to shift towards the more spiritual plane of existence. Then it's ready for you to understand what it is to truly be a man. And then it's ready to reject the external validation that's so important to you right now. And it is, and it was important to me, and it should be important to you, because that's all that you know at this point, because you're starving. But once you start to get some of that, only then are you ready to receive the thing that is going to actually benefit you in life. Most people can't start with that. And I couldn't either. I had to go through it. I had to learn it on my own, and to face my demons and to face these difficulties. To truly be a man, it means that you do what you want and you don't care what other people think. It means to have your own value system, your own judgment system. It doesn't matter if you even agree with this and you're like, yeah, I should seek the higher things. No, go and get laid first. Seriously, I'm serious. Like, do it, right? Why? Because that's the only way that you're really going to convince yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in your ability to do it, and you don't face those demons and face those challenges and face those fears, you're not going to be ready for the higher and the next level of things, and you're not going to be able to understand those things. They're just not going to make sense to you, if that makes sense to you. If you don't have that success, you're not going to be able to get what you truly need. Let's say that I just feed you all this spiritual stuff, telling you about how all this stuff that you're focusing on and girls and getting laid and all this and making money and stuff, it doesn't really matter. And then you feel guilty because you're like, yeah, I just want to get laid. Yeah, I just want a girl to kiss me. I just want a girl to like me. I just want to make a lot of money so I can show people what an awesome guy I am and show them who didn't believe in me. But okay, yeah, I feel guilty about all those desires that I have. I should just be pure, and I should want to be a strong man for being a strong man, so I can, just get on my purpose and get on my purpose. And then what ends up happening is that you start to pretend to be the spiritual giant, the spiritual guru type of guy. And you start to pretend like your motives are pure. Like, no, I just want to give my love to the world. I just want to give my gift to the world. So you start pretending all those things. But deep down inside, you still have this deep insecurity. You still want to just feel what it's like to have a woman desire you. You still want to just feel what it's like to feel like you're the man, that other people respect you, that you just want to know what it's like to be able to just go drop some money at the expensive restaurant or hotel and not feel like you have to balance your checkbook afterwards. You still have all those things, those insecurities inside you. You're going to be hollow. You're going to be fake. So we have to kill the demons first. It's fine. It's fun to kill the demons. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with these things. These are stages of your development as a man, and you have to go through these things. You can't just dive in. And so many people try to dive in and they become hollow because they haven't dealt with the things they need to deal with. I wish you guys well on your journey, and don't let anyone make you feel guilty about the desires that you have. You didn't invent those things. You didn't control those things. You want some things that are superficial. Good. Fine. Let's get them.
3 ways women are wired differently. 1. Sex first, feelings later.
Guy think versus girl think. So guys always think that a girl's interested in them if she just says hi. If she just looks their direction, guys think, oh, this girl must be interested in me. Girls, on the other side, a guy could literally be like, I think you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in the world. She's like, yeah, nah, I don't believe you. What happens for a lot of you guys is you're like, oh, she sat down with me. She gave me her phone number. She added me to Snapchat. Therefore, she must love me. Okay, she's like, I'm mildly interested in this guy, but there's 15 other guys that I'm also mildly interested in. That's the point where she is most likely at. So what usually happens with guys is they fall in love with a girl before they've had any kind of sexual interactions with her. So they fall in love ahead of time. They're like, oh, she's so beautiful, she's so wonderful, she's so majestic, she's like the girl of my dreams. And they get a crush, and then they fall in love with this girl before they've really had any kind of sexual interaction. It's premature. Whereas women, it's almost the opposite. A woman doesn't really fall in love that way. It's more like she's had some sexual experience with the guy. It doesn't have to necessarily be actual sex, but sexual chemistry. Then she looks at these other attributes of the guy and she's like, oh, I really do like this guy, and now I'm starting to fall for him. So guys catch the feels prematurely and girls catch the feels later on. It takes a longer period of time. It takes a longer time for women to simmer on everything. It takes a longer time for women to get aroused sexually. It takes a longer time for women to develop feelings for a guy. So as a guy, what you have to do is you have to not shoot your shot too quickly. You got to kind of back off a little bit and let her come to you, let her chase you, let her develop feelings for you instead of you just wearing your heart on your sleeve.
2. Looks.
You're putting way too much emphasis on looks. Now, am I going to say that looks don't matter? No, of course looks matter. Yes, girls say bad things about short guys, but that doesn't mean that it stops there. I have so many girls that I know that have told me, oh, I would never date a short guy. And then you look at their history and they're like, oh yeah, but I've dated short guys. So obviously at some point they gave a short guy a chance. People say that they want things and then they choose the opposite thing. So you can't just base it on that. And when you're looking at it just in terms of looks, you're forgetting you have other things that you can improve upon as a man. Men generally tend to gravitate towards rating women or choosing women based on looks. That's just how it works. Women in general still make choices on looks, but that's not the primary thing they're looking for. They're looking more for other qualities. A lot of that is the social cues. How does this guy handle himself? Is he a man? Will he protect me? Is he a guy that is fun to be around? Women really look at a guy in terms of how does he make her feel.
3. Every woman only wants a top 5% man.
The reason why, for a lot of you guys that are looking to be attracted to women and understanding why women don't like you or why is it so hard for you, if you're a bottom 95% guy, you're pretty much going to have a difficult time, because all women want, what they're actually chasing after, is a top 5% man. Regardless of where a woman is in her value, or whether she's attractive or not, she still wants a top 5% guy. See, guys are a little bit different. If a guy's not so high up in the attractiveness scale, he will look for a girl that he can get, and he'll be happy with that. But women are not that way. They want really the highest value guy that they can get. So that's why I say a top 5% guy, because moving up from 90% to 95%, it's a world of results. It's 100 times easier for you, 100 times more results. You're 100 times more successful. You have way more options. It's a drastic improvement to just go from 90% to 95. So that's why it's worth fighting this out. All you need to do is beat out 19 other guys. That's really not that hard.
You know that feeling that you have when you're in a room of people, maybe a party or something like that, and you're standing around and you feel like everybody's noticing how you're nervous and you're scared to be there, that anxiety that you have, or you wonder if people are looking at you, if they're laughing at you, you wonder why you can't fit in, whatever it is, right? Have you ever had that feeling where you just feel very conscious about yourself, about what you said? Maybe you've had a conversation with someone, maybe you had a conversation with a girl, and you said, oh, I wish I didn't say that. What an idiot. Why did I say that? That's self-conscious. A good example of this is me recording this video. And the times when I'm self-conscious are gonna be like, oh, I have a tickle in my throat. I don't want to cough. I don't want to come across this way. I wonder how I'm looking at this video. I wonder what words I'm saying, if those are making sense, or I'm not being concise enough. It's just, I don't know how if I like the look I have in this video. Is the lighting right? You know what I mean? Am I saying the right things? Did I just like stutter there? This is me being self-conscious. When I'm self-conscious, you're like, it seems like he's nervous. It seems like there's a stick up his ass. It seems like there's something going on here, and it's not going to come across quite as well. So the same thing is going to happen for you in life. So again, if you're talking to a girl and you're self-conscious, you're worried about what you're saying. You're worried about how she's perceiving you. You're worried about whether or not you're tall enough. You're worried about what's going to happen next and what are you going to say next? And did you just say something stupid? Is she going to be attracted to you? Are you attractive enough? Instead of just being there and being in the moment and just enjoying someone's presence and just having a conversation with someone, you're thinking about all those things and how you're being perceived. Just to be like, oh, I'm nervous. I feel really nervous. I wonder if people can tell, and just to be nervous, okay? And to not even be necessarily aware that you're nervous, but to act in a nervous way, to act self-conscious because you're nervous, to act weird because you're nervous, to be not confident because you're nervous and you're not really trying to do anything, but then you're trying too hard at the same time. Now let's talk about being self-aware. Self-aware looks similar to being self-conscious, but being self-aware means that you are aware of what's happening to you and the experiences that you're having and the emotions that you're feeling, but you're not letting those things take over your mind. To be self-aware is to know the truth about yourself, is to say, hey, I'm kind of nervous right now. All right, wow, okay. And then to go and proceed and to do whatever you're going to do or say whatever you're going to say. And maybe you're talking to a girl and maybe say, wow, I'm really actually nervous right now. You know, it's weird. Like, you know, I guess I'm just kind of a nervous guy, or whatever it is, whatever's coming to your mind, and being self-aware about the state or how you're coming across without being self-conscious. And like I said, when I'm recording this video, sometimes when I'm recording videos, and sometimes in this video, you'll find that I'm just saying the message. I'm just talking. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not worried about how I'm being perceived or what I'm saying. And that's when the message is going to hit. That's when it's going to be so authentic. And you're like, I like this guy. This also applies to just dealing with your emotions, with anger, for example, being upset. Being a self-conscious person is being so angry and just like taking out on other people and feeling like you're justified in being angry and losing control of yourself because you're in the anger. Being self-aware is like, oh gosh, I got some issues I got to work on. I got some anger issues. I'm feeling it right now. I feel like I just want to like punch this person, but that's not what I need to be doing right now. I got to figure out some way to deal with this. It's interesting that this is coming up right now. I wonder what is causing this. Why would I react so strongly to this person? Get non-judgmental. It's just awareness. I'm aware of what's going on. I'm aware of what's happening in my body. I'm aware of the emotions, the thoughts that are going through my head in a non-judgmental way. I'm not judging myself. I'm present still with you, and I'm aware of those things.
So let's say that you stunk, you smelled, or you had really bad breath or something like that, okay? If you're self-conscious, you could tell that someone was reacting to it like, whew, And you'd be like, oh shit, I'm a horrible person. My breath stinks. Gosh, I better watch how I breathe. And you'd be internalizing all that stuff. If you're self-aware in that situation, you'd be like, oh, well, that's funny. I should probably put a mint in my mouth next time I go out, learn something, right? You're getting the feedback, but you're not giving a because it doesn't really matter. That's an NPC that's walking around. People are running their code, they're running their script. It's not offensive to you. If you have bad breath and someone's like, whoo, and they give you a negative reaction to that, it's just the programming of the system that you're living in. That's how it works. If you have bad breath, someone reacts negatively. It's not a personal attack on you. It doesn't have anything to do with your value. There's no need to be self-conscious about it, but be self-aware to say, okay, well, this is the feedback. If I want that result, I want people to react that way, then I will continue to do what I'm doing. But if I want a different result, then I will make some kind of change, right? So
it's really important for you to start to make that transition, to develop that maturity to go from self-conscious to self-aware. And this is one of the things when I coach guys, it's one of the biggest things that I try to help them to focus on. One of the things I love to say to guys that I'm coaching is there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. See, the self-conscious part of you is telling you that there's something wrong with you, but there is nothing wrong with you. You're devaluing yourself as a person because you're conscious about the defects, the flaws that you have. The flaws, you have them. I have them. I could list you flaws. My chin is not perfect. My face is a little bit longer. Okay, one of my eyes I think is a little bit bigger than the other. I have a fairly big nose. My skin gets oily more so, right? There's things, okay? I have a torn pec. Whatever, I've got a whole host of issues. Sometimes when I'm recording videos, I do stutter sometimes, or I repeat the word or whatever it is. Those are flaws, potentially, but I don't see them as negative. I don't have to. I'm just real. Knowing that they exist, that's fine. That's what they are. That's the self-awareness part of that. And you're putting all this emphasis on some flaws that you have, and you're like, oh, no one could ever love me because I have these flaws. That's really the truth of the situation. When you look in your heart of hearts, the biggest fear that you have is that you're not good enough, that no one could ever love you if they really knew these things about you, right? So many people try to hide these things. Like, oh, don't look at my fat. They're like, I look so ugly right now. They're trying to get some kind of validation on those things. You're good enough how you are. You're lovable how you are. You can improve. Everyone can improve. We're on a mission to improve. That's where we're here. Plug the Bulldog Mindset membership. That's the place to improve, by the way. Okay? Go sign up. But the reason why I'm saying this is because the self-love, loving yourself is so important, and that's how you become more self-aware. It's accepting reality. It's to say, hey, it is what it is. Doesn't matter. I can be happy. I can be chill about that. And I'll give you one last bonus tip since you guys stayed so long and watched this video. Dealing with women. Why women will treat you differently when you're self-aware versus self-conscious. Because when you're self-conscious and when you're self-conscious around people, you make them feel uncomfortable. Why? Because they see it. They see it on your face. They see you judging yourself. They see you getting down in yourself. They feel awkward because they're like, ah, shit, what do I do with this guy? He's upset. He's nervous. How do I make him feel better? I feel bad for this guy. I want to get away. But when you're self-aware, you could be the same thing. You could have the same flaws. You could say the same stupid stuff. It doesn't matter. Then they're like, hey, all right, I like this guy. I don't feel uncomfortable being around this guy because he doesn't feel uncomfortable, because he doesn't make me uncomfortable, because he's comfortable in his own skin. I mean, look at this, test this yourself. Have you ever just thought this fat, short, ugly, bald guy was charismatic as hell? And you're like, I just like this guy. I'm not saying that necessarily you're that, but maybe you're closer to that. But why though? There are some guys that you would see that you'd be like, I don't like this guy. Why? What's the difference? Usually the ugly, fat, short guy who has that charisma, who you like, why do you like him, is because he's self-aware. He knows who he is. He's not kidding anyone. He knows he's ugly and short and fat, but he owns it. And he's okay with that. And he can make fun of himself a little bit, not in a degrading way, not in a self-deprecating way, but in a way that says, hey, you know, this is funny. This is cool. It's all right. I made the choices, some of the choices to get here, some of I didn't make to get here, but I'm here. And I'm not worried about what people think of me. I don't see these flaws as things that make me unlovable. I don't see these flaws as things that make me broken. I just see them as a reality. It's just what it is. Hey, I'm short. What am I going to do about it? Hey, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's where I want you to move. I want you to move to that level of self-awareness. And then, gosh, your life becomes easier.
3 mindset shifts to finally get your dream girl. 1. Stop focusing on tactics.
Most of you, what you're looking for is you're looking for a tactic that you can apply to get a girl. That doesn't really exist. I'm not saying that it's not possible to have some kind of tactic to get a girl, but you're not going to keep her if you did pull that magic off, which I have yet to see. And you're not going to actually get her because she's not actually going to like you. Your focus should be 90% on becoming the man worthy of women. So you're going to have to work on you as a person to grow, and then you're going to have to work on that tactical aspect of it, right? You're going to have to go out and actually approach and actually talk to women and actually face those fears and develop that. But your primary focus should be on developing yourself as a person. And part of that is developing your social skills. You got to become smooth around women, and that's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some actual focused effort. It's just not going to naturally happen.
2. Forget about this one girl.
Let's say that you were applying for a job and you put in your application for the job and you hit submit, and like 5 minutes later, someone called you up on the phone and they're like, oh, I saw you applied for our system admin job. We really want you. Do you want to take the job? Do you want the job? We really want you for the job. You seem like perfect. Like, I love your resume. I love everything about you, right? At first you might be a little bit flattered, but it would kind of probably scare you off a little bit, right? Because you're used to like interviewing for the job. You're used to like having to qualify for the job. If they're just like chasing you down, and let's say they call you like half an hour later, or you get an email from them, and then you get another call like the next day, pretty soon you're gonna be like, what is wrong with this job? Right? Like, there's something wrong with this person, something wrong with this job. You're gonna feel that neediness. In order to have the proper mindset to attract girls, you have got to not be completely invested in one. You have to be in a situation where you could let anyone go. You've heard yourself say this about girls. Oh, this is the one perfect girl. There is no other girl for me. Imagine the pressure that she feels when she knows that, when she thinks that, and you don't even know her. She hasn't qualified to you in any way, but you're just assuming that this is the girl, this is the magic girl that you're putting up on a pedestal. You have to think, if I'm going to become better with women in general, if I'm going to learn how to get girls to like me, I need to have the plural. Okay, maybe at some point in life, I'm not saying that you can't have a relationship, that you can't have a girlfriend, that you can't get married, but you have to start at the broader perspective and stop it with getting stuck up on one girl. There's plenty of matches for you out there. There's plenty of girls out there, and you have to really internalize and develop that mindset. Otherwise, you're not going to have any success. You're going to be seeking validation because your whole approval as a person is going to depend on whether this girl likes you or not. Whereas someone who's going to be much more attractive is going to be a guy that doesn't need them, that seeks his own approval, his own validation, is self-motivated, looks to himself to determine what is good in life, has his own passion, his own drive, and could get multiple girls.
3. Flip the script.
In order to get the girls that you want, you have to be worthy of the girls that you want. In order to do that, you have to stop focusing on the girls. You're not tricking them, you're not saying something, you're not wearing some kind of clothes, you're not getting six-pack abs or money or whatever it is. You're not using those tactics to get the girls. Instead, you're actually becoming the man that's worthy and deserving of those. You gotta think about, what would make me a deserving person? And that is a person that is of their level or higher. If you're always valuing these girls as higher than you because you're getting your validation from them or this one particular girl, then you can never be higher or at her level because you're always seeing her as the prize. You're always seeing her as the objective, the thing to get. Especially if you have one-itis and you're thinking about just this one girl, it's always higher. No matter how high you get, you're gonna feel like you're not good enough, you're not qualified, you need to get her validation, which is no good. Instead, what you need to do is you need to flip the script. It doesn't mean that you look down on girls and think that you're so much better than you are. It means you become better. It means that you focus on finding a purpose in your life. It means that you stop caring what other people think about you. It means that you start caring what you think about yourself. It means you start having standards. It means that you start working hard towards your business goals, your financial goals, your physical goals, your fitness goals, your mental goals, or your spiritual goals. You start driving yourself to become the kind of person that if you were a girl, you would want, you would be attracted to. You're gonna feel better about yourself when you are striving after what you want in life, when you're growing as a person, as a human being, than whether you have those results or not.
Anytime a guy tells me like, oh, I just wait on choosing signals, I get mad chicks, I'm just like,
the lie detector determined that was a lie.
5 reasons to stop waiting for choosing signals and start cold approaching. 1. It's a numbers game.
You just don't understand the numbers, right? If you were a door-to-door vacuum salesman, this is what you would be. You'd be a door-to-door vacuum salesman that you've got your fucking vacuums, you got your little suitcase, you're knocking on doors, and you expect that every other door that you knock on, someone's gonna buy a vacuum, okay? Or that they're just gonna see you walking down the street and try to buy a vacuum off of you. That's what some of you guys think. Where in the reality is you need to knock on 200 doors to sell one vacuum.
So let's say that you're closing 5%, right? Then Chad is only closing twice as much as you. So if Super Chad guy goes out and he's looking for choosing signals or whatever, right? Let's say he approaches 5, okay? But let's say that you go out and you approach 10, you're gonna get just as good results as him. But if you approach 20, you're gonna get twice as good results. So you could just be average dude with good game, and you could get twice the results of Chad just by, it's not even a huge amount increase in volume. One number I throw out, curious to see what you think about this, is I usually tell guys that are brand new, you're gonna have to do 300 approaches to get one result. Maybe it'll happen faster, but that's probably a reasonable, like if you haven't done 300.
I think that's a very honest assessment, especially if someone that's a beginner. Because the first 50 to 75 is gonna be him just stuttering and like sweating and trying to get the heebie-jeebies out of him. I always say, you wanna see a man's character, put a really hot girl in front of him and tell him, go approach her and say hello, introduce yourself, and you'll see what that guy's made of immediately.
Oh yeah, yeah.
2. Don't rely on luck. Develop skills.
You're gonna meet girls from time to time that are just gonna be these, what I call gimmies. If a girl is like in the right mood, maybe she just watched Titanic or The Notebook and now she's at the club and she sees you and like, shit, you look like Jack. You're the one. You know, to me, that's not really choosing signals. It's just, I got a little lucky. Every once in a while, everybody throws 7s, but you have to develop a skill set. The more skills you have, the higher your closing ratio will be. It's a numbers game to a certain degree. When you have more skill, obviously your closing ratio will go up dramatically.
I really like to compare a lot of life to poker. It's luck and skill, and it's a balance of the two. And the higher your skill is, the more that you'll be able to utilize that luck. But sometimes you're going to make a bad play and you're going to get lucky and win the pot because you just happen to get dealt a full house or whatever. You're going to win no matter what you bet. And sometimes you're going to make a perfect play. You're going to play perfectly and you're going to lose because that's just how the luck factor goes. But the skill level in the long game determines your outcome, your EV.
3. Be a predator, not a prey.
So what are you going to do? You're going to be an alpha guy by just standing there and not making anything happen? No, you're going to be an alpha guy by going up and making shit happen, by going up and talking to girls, right? It's not beta to go up and start conversations. You say, oh, well, it's chasing women, it's chasing. No, you are a hunter, okay? You're the predator and she's the prey. Being the predator does not make you beta, going after the prey.
If I'm waiting for permission from a woman to go up, how am I putting myself in the dominant position there?
They're saying you're giving her free validation and chasing.
But she's the one who's deciding that, though. You're waiting on her. A guy who waits on women and seeks permission from women to go up and talk to them, to go to the bathroom. Honey, is it okay if I leave? Is it okay if I walk up and approach you? Are you giving me choosing signals? I don't think that's very alpha at all. Waiting for permission. And if you're the type of guy who does that, you're probably going to be waiting for a long time. If I was only going to wait for choosing signals, the number of women that I would have slept with is like would have been minuscule. Most of the women that I talked to, they didn't know I was there. But when I walked up and I showed myself, I showed the characteristics of a high value guy. Because of that, they were interested. But if I hadn't walked up and talked, I don't think I would have gotten any choosing signals or anything. The example that I gave, there was another girl who was even hotter than the 2 models. She didn't give me no choosing signals too. In fact, she actually saw me and turned the other way. Like, she was actually reading me at the beginning. And yeah, is it better if you get a choosing signal? Absolutely, obviously. Like, if a girl actually makes eye contact with you and smiles, like, that's the best thing. I get that very rarely, but I'm always successful when I go out, so.
4. The cream of the crop ain't giving you no choosing signals.
There's really 3 types of women that you'll ever come across out there. There's yes girls, maybe girls, and no girls. Most of the girls you come across are going to be no girls or maybe girls. And really, the point of game is turning them from no and maybe girls into yes girls. You're just turning them into buyers, pretty much. It's no different if you're working for selling cars on a dealer lot. Most of the people who come in are not going to be like, yep, that one. Well, where do I write the check? Every once in a while, you'll get that. They know what they want. Oh, cool. Just sign the paperwork. Done. But most of the people who come on need to be convinced. They need to be sold. And so when it comes to the no and maybe girls, I could think of the hottest girlfriends I ever had. The hottest girls that I dated through Cold Approach. Not any of them were ever yes girls. None of them were yes girls. The ones that were pretty easy, yeah, they were yes girls. The ones that I wasn't really crazy about, they were okay looking. Yeah, they're yes girls. You come across that from time to time, but you're not gonna really get the cream of the crop.
5. Look cool or get laid, your choice.
I know it feels comfortable to say that, oh yeah, I only choosing signals. And I know that makes you feel good because you're afraid to go and do cold approach, and it puts you in what you perceive as a weaker position, which it does. Like there's some vulnerability because you're facing rejection, true enough, but it's not going to get you results, right? In fact, the guys that I know that get the most results are the guys that are most unabashed in their cold approaching. They're the ones that run cold approach all the time. It doesn't matter the circumstance, it doesn't matter the girl, they just fucking go after it. Those are the guys that get the most results, and not only the most results, but the best results, the highest quality results. So that's ultimately what it comes down at the end of the day, right? It's not about what you think about yourself or how you look doing it. It's about actually accomplishing the goal. If you're one of those guys that is claiming that choosing signals is the way to go, I want to know exactly how your night goes. And then I want to know what you do after you open. How are you pulling there? Are you just getting the number and your number closing? And you're like, oh yeah, she gave me choosing signals and I number closed and I'm the shit. I think you're missing a whole part of game, because the guys that I'm working with, they're pulling on that night and they're doing that from a cold approach, not from a choosing signal approach. So if you think that like you got the number and you're being successful, you're full of shit. You're not successful at all. That number isn't worth shit. 1 out of 20 numbers is good. Like 19 of them are going to flake for most guys, okay, unless you're really good.
You could wait for choosing signals if you want to. If your goal is to like reduce your success to approach ratio, you want to keep that as high as possible. I guess that would be the right move to make. Some of these guys who are saying this, they have to make a decision. Do they want to look cool, or do they want to get laid or have a relationship? That's the real question, I think.
You look at these 17 characteristics. He's truly hard to get because he doesn't want to be gotten. How is this for self-delusion? Really? You don't want to be top dog. You don't even want to be part of the pack. Bullshit. The answer is that you can't be. You're not top dog. Solitude, introspection, civil disobedience, winning by not playing. If you don't play, you don't win.
Is there such thing as an introvert, laid-back alpha?
First of all, let me back up a little bit. There's no such thing as being an introvert. There's no such thing as introvert or extrovert. As much as you can, guys, in life, you should avoid allowing people to put labels on yourself and you putting labels on other people. You can be introverted in your behavior at times and you can be extroverted. You are capable of both. So when you label yourself as an introvert, what that really means is that you're giving yourself an excuse to not face your fears of social anxiety. That is what it means. You haven't habituated to it. Just like if you were to jump in a pool and that pool is somewhat cold, when you first go into that pool, you're going to feel cold. But over time, you habituate to the temperature and you feel comfortable in that pool. The same thing happens in every circumstance in life, in social circumstances, right? The reason why you're labeling yourself as an introvert is because it's a way to let yourself off the hook to say, oh, I'm just not wired that way. I don't get my energy from being around people. I guarantee you have a close group of friends that you get a lot of energy from being around. And at the same time, even someone who's out there social all the time, they can generate and benefit from being alone. They will get some amount of rejuvenation and energy from that. It is such a horrible myth when whoever invented the terms introvert and extrovert. It is how you're behaving. It is a state that you're in. It is not who you are. Nothing is who you are. Delving into this a little bit more, an alpha, that characteristic is someone who, if they need to take charge, they need to step up, they do. It doesn't mean that they have to be in the forefront all the time. It means that sometimes they let other people lead. They don't have anything to prove, but at the same time, they're not afraid to prove it.
And again, I don't even like to use the word alpha, but there are dominant men and there are submissive men. But there's no in between. There is no guy that is mysterious, who's introverted, who doesn't want to be the pack leader, but could be and is just as strong as the pack leader. If he were, he would be the pack leader. Okay, so this is also another delusion, right? This is a way of buffering yourself to say that you're awesome, you're good, but you haven't done anything to deserve that, right? That just intrinsically, you're different than everyone else. Look at all these things that are kind of excuses in here. Ignoring fashion. Don't have to be the top dog. Don't have to fight. You don't have to be part of a group. You're just as powerful, right? You can be introverted. You don't have to learn social skills and be extroverted and have high social status. You don't have to do that. You're highly attractive to women, but you don't really care or notice, so it doesn't matter. Do you think that these girls are just going to come up and approach you and just start talking to you because you're this mysterious James Dean guy who they can sense as the alpha guy? No, nothing works like that. The world doesn't work like that. Sales doesn't work like that. You're not going to make sales unless you're knocking on doors, okay? You're not going to attract women unless you're going out and talking to them. And you look at, again, these people that post on this, right? No need to prove anything. Autonomy, ideological independence, intellect, adaptability, solitude, introspection, civil disobedience, winning by not playing. If you don't play, you don't win, okay? Silence is golden. This is when you try and take something that is a weakness and you try to make it into a virtue, right? It's trying to convert vices into virtues. If you are exhibiting these behaviors, it's weak. It's pathetic behavior. It's beta behavior, trying to pretend like you're something else, right? You can't quite call yourself alpha because then you'd have to live up to that standard. But instead, you can make this new hierarchy and you can invent this new thing and you can say that this is it.
You are deluding yourself in believing this lie, and it's going to prevent you from it because you think you're already good as you are. None of us are good as we are. I mean, we are, but we're not. What I'm saying is that we can always improve. And so if you sit behind this, you say, I'm a Sigma male, I'm a lone wolf, I'm a laid back alpha, whatever it is, you're creating an excuse for yourself to not improve, right? You need to be able to go out there and you know the truth about yourself. Can you actually go out there? And if you wanted to talk to any woman you want to, could you do it? Not should you, could you? A lot of you guys will say in your head, yeah, I could do it if I want to. Okay, then take 1 month and be the extroverted alpha guy for a month and prove it. And then if you don't like it and you decide, I'd rather be laid back and not do these things, then fine. But if you haven't done it, don't say that you can, right? Prove it to yourself.
What is your objective? It's all the same answer. Let's be honest here. You're trying to get laid. You're trying to get girls. You're trying to get women. You're trying to get female attraction. Is this going to be successful for you? Is this successful for you? This doesn't involve doing anything. This involves being a Sigma male, just something that you are, and making excuses for all of the shortcomings that you would have as an alpha male. How's that going to work? How is that working for you? Are you just like slaying it? Are you just slaying pussy right now? Are you just swimming in it? I don't think so. And if you're not, then this is not working. This is not reality. You're going to have to go out there. You're going to have to grow some balls. You're going to have to do some of the things that alpha males do. You're going to have to compete in that space with those guys because those guys are doing well. Trust me, they're doing fine. Okay? They're not worried about you. They're not thinking about someone who invents a fake hierarchy, right? So this is a very destructive philosophy to hold.
Because I went through the same thing. There was a period of time where I thought I was this most self-confident guy. I could go and talk to anyone, whatever. And you know what? I just chose not to because it wasn't the right time. I don't feel like it right now, whatever it was. And then I had to face the cold hard truth and I had to say, John, you're full of bullshit, man. You say that you're this confident guy, but let me see it. All right. I don't feel like it right now. Okay. Well, let me see it. Who cares if you feel like it? Just do it. It'll take you 5 minutes. Go talk to that girl. Go talk to this person. Now I couldn't do it until I had to force myself. And then I realized, okay, I was making excuses. I was making justifications for myself. So that's why I say this again. I don't say it to offend you guys. I don't say it because I want to disparage you in some way. I'm saying it because if you're believing the lie of the Sigma male, you're stopping yourself from growing.
And I'll state this again one last time here. If you're falling into the Sigma male type of mindset, the answer is still the same, okay? Do what you can. Go out there and become the best that you can. Develop yourself. Become the best man that you can. And that means from physical to mental to spiritual to status, success, money, all those things. Check all those boxes, but do it for you and then learn and actually go out there and face rejection. I want you to actually go out there and learn and see and go try it and see what happens. Okay, and yes, you're going to face a ton of rejection. Your rejection ratio might be 9 rejections for every 10 girls that you talk to, but that still means 1 out of 10. Even if it's 1 out of 100 that you're going to have success with, that's the reality. And whatever that reality is, just face it. You're not doomed either way. It just means that that's the numbers that you have to hit, and maybe you can get better and you can improve that ratio. But if you're not out there, if you're not trying, if you're not actually sacking up and getting the balls to be able to actually go and do that and learn that skill, then you got nothing to complain about. You're just bitching and whining.
BS that kills your success with women. Part 1. The no contact rule.
You should not want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you. In fact, ask yourself the question, do you want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you? Have you ever maybe had a friend and you were excited about going to some concert or some event or something, and that friend wasn't excited about it, and so they just kind of tagged along with you, but the whole time you could tell they weren't having fun and they weren't enjoying the experience and they were just bitter and angry that they're being dragged along? That's not a good feeling. It's not a good experience. And if you've ever been in a relationship like that, it is one of great pain, because you'll always feel you're giving, but you're not getting back. You're always contributing more, and that's so key. Genuine desire is what you should be seeking. You should not be trying to get someone back. If you break up with your girlfriend, if she breaks up with you, if she says she needs time to herself, that's it. She's done. There. This is why the no contact rule is such a ridiculous, silly rule. Because what are you trying to accomplish? You're trying to trick someone who doesn't want to be with you to wanting to be with you. It doesn't make any sense. It means that you have a low value of yourself. And think about this. How highly can you value yourself as a man if you're going to be like, on the calendar, all right, 1 day down. Whew, I made it through 1 day, 2 days, right? And you're going to go 60 days, and then you're going to contact this girl. If you're valuing her that high, why shouldn't she be doing the same for you? You see what I'm saying? So no contact rule, forget about that. Don't even play that game. If you're trying to play that game, you've already lost the game. If a girl breaks up with you, if she needs some time to herself, it's the same thing. Just write it off. It's done. Just close the book right then. Forget about it. You guys are getting hung up on one girl. That's why you guys need to be learning how to go out there and date other women and actually get your social skills up. Because in order for you to be discerning, you must have options. Imagine this, okay? If he had access to a lot of different women, right? Let's say that he had 4 or 5 women that he was dating. Think he would care if this one girl broke up with him? No. Even if he was exclusive with her and he wasn't currently dating 4 or 5 girls, but he knew that he had the ability to go and get another girl and to be dating multiple girls as soon as this girl broke up with him, he would be like, hey, that's great. You need some time to yourself? Awesome. Enjoy your time to yourself. I'm going to enjoy some time for myself, and it's not going to be by myself. Let me tell you that. So you need to move on before this shit happens, not when it happens. It's certainly not a no contact rule. If you're doing no contact rule, you've already lost the game, my friend. If you're in a breakup situation right now, if you're hurting right now, I want you to just ponder this. I want you to ask yourself the question, do I want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me? Ask yourself that question multiple times until you understand what I'm saying here, until you get that answer, until you really visualize that in your head and play it forward and realize that what you're actually wanting is you want to be with someone who wants you. And there's no substitute for that. You cannot create any kind of substitute in life for that. You're gonna have to be comfortable with yourself first. So work on yourself, work on your goals as a man, put your mission and purpose first in life. Never put a woman ahead of that, ever. And you're never gonna be in the situation. Then a woman will be an accessory to your life and a complement to it.
But a lot of you, you're constantly going through that pain of rejection, that pain of not being good enough, of not getting what you want, to feel like you're unworthy or unlovable, or all these kind of things, right? You feel like you're an outsider. I want you to imagine, let's say that you found a $100 bill on the ground and you saw someone that dropped it, and you're going up to them and you're like, hey, you dropped this $100 bill, and you're trying to give them that $100 bill. All right. Now, if they said, oh, no, that's not mine, or no, you keep it, I don't want that $100 bill, would you feel rejected? No, you wouldn't. Why? Because you have something of huge value that you're giving to them. And so you're not going to feel rejected. You're not going to feel insulted that they didn't want to take the $100 bill. You're going to be like, that's weird. You're going to be like, that's crazy, right? You're going to think they're insane, but you're not going to feel hurt. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, my feelings are hurt because they want to take the $100 bill and I try and give them. And instead, you should be like, fine, I'll just take the $100 bill, or give it to someone else who wants a $100 bill. Now, if you go up to someone and you say, hey, can I have $100? And they tell you no, now you might feel rejected.
Why? Because you're extracting value. You want something.
The word rejection is tied up with worthiness. When you say she rejected me, he rejected me, that company rejected me, what that implies is that they looked at you in your totality as a human being and they said, not worthy.
That's where rejection comes from. It comes from being needy. You want her to like you want her to be attracted to you, and she doesn't give you that. You feel rejected, you feel hurt, you feel like there's something wrong with you. It makes you feel bad about yourself. But if you thought of yourself as giving $100 bills, like just being with someone, just talking to them, is like giving them a $100 bill, you wouldn't feel rejected.
When I talked to people who had no issue with rejection and people who did, the biggest difference across the board was that the people who had no issue didn't use the word rejection. It just like wasn't in their vocabulary. They struggled to think of rejections, even though their past, according to most people, was littered with rejections.
If you say, my standard for being with me is that I only want to be with a girl that totally wants to be, that's totally wild about me, that really wants to be with me. If that's your standard, then guess what happens? You've just flipped the rejection on its head. Because if some girl gives you a negative reaction when you go to talk to her, you reject her. You had a standard here that like she has to be such a quality girl that she recognizes the quality in you and that she wants you very badly. And if she's not passing that test, you don't even want her. So she's done. So you're rejecting her.
It's not rejection. She's an idiot. Because you're $100, you're $1 million bill. You know what I'm saying?
Why you should stay single in your 20s. 1. You can do better than her.
Most people make the mistake of getting into long-term relationships too early on, especially guys. They find the one girl that will have sex with them, and then they just like cling to that woman and just stick with her because they feel like that's their option. This is their option to have sex.
If you went and got a burrito and it was your first time getting a burrito and it was this shithole burrito restaurant, it was horrible, and you're like, oh, burritos are good, I like this, this is my favorite burrito. Well, it's actually a pretty shitty burrito. It's like, that's Taco Bell actually, that's not a burrito. Right? And then later on you realize that there's good burritos out there, not Taco Bell, and then you're like, fuck, I didn't even know, like I thought it was a good burrito because that was the only burrito that I'd ever eaten.
2. You lack the experiences and emotional maturity.
Being in a relationship, when you're young, you get more negative life experiences than positive ones, because being in a relationship doesn't really teach you much about life. Being in multiple relationships and dealing with multiple people that are very different and dynamic, that teaches you much more.
Women are sort of like born Olympic athletes in the level of manipulating men and the kind of social skills, right? Because they just know how to shit test automatically. It's like a built-in skill. And you as a man getting out there into the field, you're like you just joined the track team, right? This is your first time running a 100-yard dash. And you're competing against Olympic athletes, but you don't know you're competing against them. So they're gonna run fucking circles around you, right? Like most guys end up getting wrecked. And that's why they get into bad relationships, is because the girl walks all over them, treats them like shit, they don't even know any better. As a man, it takes you time to learn those skills and develop those skills, and so that you can actually have a successful relationship. Because a lot of guys potentially get into a relationship with a girl young, when they're too young, where they don't have that experience, they're not really real grounded as a man, and then they end up fucking it up. Like that girl could have been a successful relationship with them, but because they're not a man yet, they don't know how to stand their ground, they don't know how to act in a relationship and how to respond to the emotional tantrums that women sometimes throw and that kind of things, then they end up responding wrong, and it puts them in a bad place, and then that kind of sours the whole thing.
3. Level up and compound your efforts now.
You don't want to waste time now that you could be using to compound your effort. Way back in the day, I was playing EverQuest. I was like level 6 or something, right? And I found these mobs, these creatures that were like, I think they were like level 8, okay? I would go up there and I was trying to kill these level 8 creatures because they would give me more experience, all right? That's what I wanted to kill. all right, and they're harder. And so I'd go in there and I'd fight them, and I'd eventually like maybe kill one, but half the time I would get killed, okay? And then I'd have to go find my corpse and walk back and get all my shit and stuff, and then try and fight them again. And I would just keep on doing this. And I probably wasted like weeks of time doing this, staying at level 6, okay? Because I kept on losing experience when I would die, and I would gain a little bit when I'd kill them, and it would basically just roughly balance out, but I could never level up. Instead, what I should have been doing was just like going and killing level 6 creatures. I would have taken a lot more of them to kill, but I would have gradually gained experience and leveled up. For you, the girls that you want right now are like the level 8 creature when you're level 6. Yeah, you could get some, but the effort that you're going to exert is not going to be worth the payoff. It's going to be a lot more. Why not wait till you're level 8 to kill the level 8 mobs, or level 9? Heck, when you're level 10, it'll be easy. You can just slay them very quickly. You're going to put in a lot of effort to get a small result, whereas later on, you'll be able to put in a little bit of effort to get a big result. Focus your efforts on the things that make sense now, okay? And that time that you're going to waste could be used to compound your efforts. You could be using that time to build a business, to increase your career, to build your physique, right? To work on personal development, study some philosophy, find yourself as a man, ground yourself, like develop yourself so that when you're ready, you'll be better equipped later on. And it has a compounding effect. For example, let's take business. If you start building a business now at 19, okay, by the time that you're like 27, you could be making a shit ton of money from that business. You could be making millions of dollars a year. The more time that you put in now will have a huge payoff later on. This is really critical time for you.
But, caution.
So focus on that. Make the other stuff, the social skills, the dating and stuff, kind of a side thing. Don't completely neglect it. It's easy to do that and to put it off, especially if you're afraid, and to say, well, it's smarter to focus on my career and my future. Bullshit. Go out sometimes. Do some amount of, quote, girl chasing, okay? Just don't obsess about it. Because what you don't want to do is focus so hard on your career, and then at the point where you do want to become social, you do want to have fun, it's too fucking late. Like, you're going to have to develop those skills along with the other skills to be a well-rounded person, or you will be an autistic retard. In order to really be unique and to be balanced, you have to sort of be a contradiction. Let's say that you look really hard. You don't smile very much. If you look like a thug, and you act like a thug, and you dress like a thug, that's not interesting. I stereotype you, and then you ended up being my stereotype. Wow, that's awesome, right? I'm not gonna hire you for a developer job with your tatted up face, coming in here looking like a dumbass and talking like a dumbass. No. But that same exact person has a huge advantage, because let's say that you go to a job interview, you know, someone comes in the door and they've got a tattoo on their neck, right? And you're like, oh, that's interesting. They are in a suit. That is a nice suit. It's like a Armani suit. And when they open their mouth and they speak eloquently, and it just flows. They just speak so nicely, so elegantly and cleanly. You think, man, this person is interesting. Wow, I wonder what their story is. I want to sit and listen to this person. They totally just blew my stereotype out of whack, right? And the same thing happens on the other side, right? If you had someone who looked like they're an accountant and they looked really soft, but they're like dressed really casual and they seem to have a nice self-confident talk, and you're like, this is weird. It feels like he's giving me this vibe like he's tough. Like you wouldn't want to mess with this guy, but he looks like this little scrawny mouse, right? Some of the reason I think why Simple Programmer, why some of you like my videos, is because you're like, oh, this guy's interesting because he's kind of a nerd, right? I mean, he's a software developer, but he's kind of buff, right? And he's kind of tough. This guy is interesting. He's not the typical run-of-the-mill type of developer. And so you're more likely to listen and to be more interested in what I have to say in my story, right? Because it's diverse to some degree. Be conscientious of image. First of all, think about what is your natural image, and then think about what will you need to dress like, talk like, act like to enhance that image, to make it better as you stack these things on. If you look at really charismatic people, there's this weird soft yet hardness to them. There's this weird passion yet solidarity to them. They're angry, but they're loving. You can't quite figure them out. You never quite can get the grasp on it. They don't fit into a stereotype. They don't fit into a mold, because those kind of people are boring, and we just assess them and we're like, okay, we're done. We know who they are, right?
10 mind hacks to attract hot girls if you're not a Chad. 1. Show me your six-pack abs.
One of the questions that I often ask them when they're struggling is, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best version of you, nobody else, just you, where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? And you'd be surprised how many guys are like 4, 5, 3. Why are you even dealing with women? Weight that you got to lose, money you got to make, debt that you got to get rid of, look that you have to have. That's all work that you have to do as a guy. That's why I keep pounding this out there to guys like, do the damn work, right? Well, what does that mean, Rich? What's the work that I got to do? The fucking work, do it, right? You know what you got to do. How do I lose weight? Move more, eat better.
It's not that people don't know what they need to do. They don't want to do what they need to do, and they want the shortcut. I've never encountered someone that I would say would rate themselves above an 8 that's complaining, that has a black pill type of philosophy. When I've dealt with guys that have the real black pill mentality, I'm like, well, let me see your six-pack abs. Let's start there. If you've done the work, then let me see the work. Because if you show up and you've done all these things and then you still aren't having success, then I might have some empathy for you. But if you haven't paid your dues, then what can you expect?
2. Why do you care if the game is unfair? Play it to win it.
You don't get to choose how the game works or how it's played or who's playing the game. Who cares? So what? So Chad and Tyrone get to get shit for free. Big fucking deal. You don't have any choice. You don't have any control over that. If you want to play the game, if you want to win the game, you have to play the game. You can't be like, oh, I'm not playing until it's fair. Okay, you're gonna be waiting a long fucking time because no one gives a fuck. No one cares. No one cares if it's fair for you. No one cares if you have to work harder. It's irrelevant if the game is fair. It's irrelevant if it's harder for you. That stuff doesn't matter. Only matters what you actually choose to do. You can complain, you can whine about it, you can say, I'm seeing the real truth. This game isn't worth playing. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. That's fine, okay? But it's your life. If you want something out of life, you should go for it. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. Fuck what other people are doing. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. What are you doing? That's the only thing that matters, right? Why are you paying attention to other people's business? Why do you care about what some other guy looks like? Why do you care about that? What do you care about what some girl chooses? Let her choose whatever the fuck she chooses, okay? Why do you care about that stuff? Only care about what is relevant to you, okay? What do you want out of life? So you're spending so much time working on figuring out why life is unfair and why other people are shitty or good, what their advantages or disadvantages are in life, that you're not spending that time actually focused on improving yourself.
3. Every disadvantage is an advantage.
If it's something that you can't change and you have to accept, then you have to look for the advantages and focus on those things and live your life on that. You still have to know what the disadvantages are, but you can't focus on those because you can't change those things. Let's look at the positive. Let's change your mindset and say, what are the advantages of being short? You can be a better bodybuilder because there's always advantages. There's advantages of being poor. You have nothing to lose. You still have to have the reality, but that is a good mindset to have.
4. Insecure Chads get exposed to.
Literally, I have had male models sign up for my programs that are nervous, they have quirkiness in their personality, and a girl might see them like, whoa, who's this guy? Once they start talking, they realize this guy's lacking confidence, he's socially awkward. Yeah, he's good looking, but that's about it. So your looks can only take you so far. And many times they can work against you because then the girl gets suspicious. Oh, you look like you're kind of a player. You look like you're the womanizer or something.
Right.
You know, so sometimes it can work against you too. It's not like, oh, once I have my looks, free reign. All these chicks are just going to be all over me. I have a number of students who literally their wives, their girlfriends, their LTRs had just left them. And these guys are good looking, lots of money, got the Ferrari, the big house. Why did this girl leave? He's got everything. He's got the LMS. Why does she leave? Oh, because he's missing elements in his personality. Oh, he's missing character traits. Oh, he's missing some game. I mean, I used to game with a guy, and this guy was a model. He was like a French guy. He had this French accent and just great shape. And whenever we walk into a venue, it's like the girls automatically, I was invisible and they're like tunnel vision. But then once we get into set with the girls, once we start interacting, it's funny how the value would shift from him onto me because I would quickly just talk his looks away. And all of a sudden he was almost feeling like, wow, I'm just this DLB guy. And it got to the point where he just stopped hanging out with me. Literally was like, I'm not hanging out with you anymore. I just want to go do my own thing. I'm like, okay, all right, whatever.
5. Redefine success.
Life is unfair. It's inherently unfair. I give that point 100%. But I think a lot of it is just because of society's version of success, how much money you have, how many hot chicks you bang, all these things. But success to me is, where did you start and where did you get to? What did you do? How did you play the hand that you were dealt? That's what really matters. When you go to sleep at night, you don't sleep on your pile of money and say, I'm such a great person. You don't feel good about that. What you feel good about is what you earned, what you accomplished, how you improved yourself, and how you grew as a person. And that's where fulfillment comes from. So to give guys this message of, oh, if you can't be a Chad, then you're, first of all, it's not true. It's just not true, because I've worked with guys that are short, that are quote ugly, and they've had success with women, greater success than the average guy. The average guy that is just a normal dude living his life. I'm sure you've coached guys along the same lines too, where you've brought them up to the level where they're living a crazy life that no one would believe, and they're definitely not a Chad by any means. So first of all, it's just not even true. And then second, even if it were true, why would you not do the best possible? If I'm going to go down, I'm going down kicking and screaming. You're going to have to tell me that I'm shit, and you're going to have to prove it to me, but I'm still going to fight and do the best that I possibly can in this life. Going out without a fight, to me, it's a shame.
6. Your external is a reflection of your internal.
Your external world is a reflection of your internal. So when you change internally and you focus on that internal change, the external changes. It changes dramatically. I was sitting at a poker table and I was looking at the bar across the room, and I saw this guy just for a brief second. When I looked up, he was getting ready to order a drink, and just looking at him just for a second, I could tell that he was gay. You can assess a person instantly and tell things about them. Nothing in his bone structure indicated that. It was just the way that he was standing, and just subtle cues, social cues that we pick up on that give us an impression of a person. So the same happens with attractiveness. You could have a really good looking face and not be attractive, but as long as you're listening to this black pill philosophy and you're listening to gloom and doom, and you're thinking that, oh, looks are the only thing that matters, and if you're not a Chad or Tyrone, then you might as well rope yourself and all this stuff, and you're hating on other people and complaining all day, you're not going to change internally. Become a man of character internally. Work on yourself, develop your skills, develop your social acuity to be able to talk to people, build your finances, build your physique, work on your discipline, work on all of these internal things, and the external world will change. You will get in shape. You'll carry yourself better. You'll have that confidence instead of just wasting your time talking about other people.
7. Do you have it worse than them?
Heck, you're an able-bodied person who's overweight and has a few problems with your face. You're not in a wheelchair. You're not a burn victim. There's guys out there that have that. I met a guy at a conference I was speaking at. He had muscular dystrophy. That's hard. He is not only in a wheelchair, but he couldn't even move his arms hardly, and it didn't stop him. I saw him hitting on girls and having a good old time and enjoying his life, and he didn't complain. He didn't whine. He wasn't like, oh, it sucks for me. And now it did suck for him, I'm sure. He was a distinct disadvantage. There's no question about it. But what he chose to do in life was to ignore that, because it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
There's a problem. It can be fixed. Like, I've seen people on my mastery course, they've come in wheelchairs. I had one guy blind, and he got results. These people had proper excuses. You could just look and say, shit, you've got an excuse. And they didn't let it stop them. So when I hear guys going, oh, that's my problem, fuck women, I'm like, shit, have you seen these guys that have come across? Wheelchairs, blind, had guys with disabilities, they're very noticeable, like really extreme twitches and things like that. These are things that are really limiting, and they haven't used it as an excuse. So these guys saying, oh, that's my excuse for not crying. Seriously.
8. Dude, even Oompa Loompa strippers can be attractive.
I used to take my clients to strip clubs. I said, which one here do you think is making all the money? And they immediately point to the most beautiful stripper. And the beautiful one would get a few dances because she was exceptionally beautiful, but she had no game, she had no chat, she had no fans. And the other one was like a little terrier. She was going in there, she was making the guys laugh. She had so much game, she would just literally extract money from them. And these guys would just be happy to give her money. And I said, this woman has understood the game. She's realised that she's never going to be beautiful like those other girls. That's it. So what she's done is she's refined her game, her banter.
I love that way of putting it, because if the Oompa Loompa stripper can use game and make herself attractive to guys that have specifically come to a place to look at hot women, right? If she can do it, and guys are more visual, then for guys to make the argument to say that, oh, I'm just short and I'm not good looking, and all these girls only like guys that are good looking, it's hopeless. That game doesn't matter. It seems ridiculous to me. 9. If there's one, there's more than one. One thing I like to tell guys all the time is if there's one, there's more than one. It applies in dating and it applies in business. Has a girl ever kissed you? She has? Okay. There's more than one. There's 1,000. You just got to go and find them, right? You ever had one girl like you? All right. You ever slept with one girl? Good. Then there's 1,000. There's 100,000 out there. Because if we get you to one success, I know there's more than one because mathematically there's more than one. It's not that you found the one girl in the whole world that finds you attractive.
10. How do you even know?
I was a fat, dorky guy that did not have any success with women, and then I transformed. I had no idea what I could become, just like you guys don't know what you could become. You really don't know. You don't know what's under there, because someone could look at my old pictures and they'd be like, oh, this guy is a complete dork. There's no way this guy is not going to be any kind of a stud. No woman would pay him the time of day. And then, you know, that turned out not to be the case. So you don't know. Just because what you're starting with, you don't know what you're going to finish with. Do stuff to improve yourself and focus on that instead of focusing on the stuff that you can't control and that you don't even know. Because it's so discouraging to a lot of guys that they don't even know what their potential is. Because believe me, when you look at my picture there, if you didn't know who I was today, you would say, okay, this guy is at the best gonna maybe be able to settle down with some 6 of a girl if he's lucky after a lot of work, or maybe he should go to Asia. Someone would give me some shitty advice that would have not allowed me to become a millionaire, would have not allowed me to have a lot of success with women and to be successful in life, and to set my bar so fucking low. You don't know what you're gonna end up with. So if you put in the work, you can transform. And I've seen so many guys in the Bulldog Mindset membership that have showed their transformation pictures that it's been ridiculous. It's been ridiculous transformations because it's not just a physical transformation, right? I'm either going to change something or accept it. So I have a choice. I could do a bunch of plastic surgery and change small things that are wrong with me if I want to, or I can just accept it. But if you're building your whole life around this and think that that is the only thing that there is to life, you're going to be missing out. You're going to be bitter. You're going to be angry. You're not going to be the kind of person that people are going to want to be around. So you're not even going to know. You're not even going to know. How do you know if you're being rejected because of your looks or because of you just being a shitty ass person? You're not going to know unless you become a not shitty ass person.
All right, guys, if you liked the video, make sure you actually like the video. Click that like button and also click the link down below to join the Bulldog Mindset membership for just $7 for the first month. We already have over 30 in-depth lessons in there, over 20 plus hours of content on everything from cold approaching to escalating, going on your first date, even going down on a girl and blowing her mind, and a bunch of stuff I can't even put here on YouTube. So definitely click that link to join us here. There's also content, over 100 lessons on finances, fitness, and mindset, everything that you need to know to become a top 5% man that women truly desire. That's what you need. So go ahead and click that link and join us in the Bulldog Mindset membership.